In as much as I don't subscribe to violence, when the time comes for us to take a decision, I will lead the cause for that decision.
So if pipeline pass in our place and somebody threatens us and take our livelihood from us, and we decide that this pipeline, we don't want it on our land, Inyeso Wike cannot stop it.
If things continue in this way, we can no longer guarantee the safety of the oil installations.
I assure you, at the right time, you will get the instruction.
So the suspended Rivers State Governor, Fubara, who some people say they are unsure of his whereabouts and safety, has now responded to the allegations President Tinubu leveled against him. But before I delve into that, let me quickly speak to this.
For the first time, we had a rebuttal by Mr. Fubara yesterday, where he debunked all the allegations made against him. He said he had constantly called for peace. He said even as recent as one of the last public engagements he did, when I think they got some facilities or some platforms for the Air Force or something, he said he still called for peace there. He said as regards the National Assembly, the State House Assembly, structure that was bombed, he said there had been a consensus that they will have to rebuild at some point, way back in 2022, that there was a leaking roof. And they are talking about fixing the state of things. He also debunked many allegations, and it's good. But we also need to see a proof of life of Fubara in all of this.
So, Mr. I always deal on empirical evidence. Where in the world did you get this nonsense from? Did Fubara himself, his aides or family members complain to you about his safety or whereabouts? Obviously not. Truth is, you are not better than the Wike you spend half of your time on TV lambasting. As a matter of fact, you guys have a lot of similarities, one of which is the inability to tame one's emotions. If not, how could you be so insensitive to suggest that very dangerous rhetoric that Governor Fubara's safety is in doubt in an already volatile situation? How could you? The truth is that if Wike is a political cancer to Nigeria, you, Ufa Hosseini, is a cancer to the media in Nigeria. So as I hinted earlier, the governor, through his chief press secretary, responded to the two major allegations leveled against him by President Tinubu. Now, for context, this is the allegation the president leveled against him.
Also, it is public knowledge that the governor of Rivers State, for unjustifiable reasons, demolished the House of Assembly of the state as far back as 13th December 2023, and as up till now, 14 months after, no rebuild the same. I have made personal interventions between the contending parties for a peaceful resolution of this crisis, but my efforts have been largely ignored by the parties to the crisis.
And to that, this is how the governor responds. Governor Fubara, through his chief press secretary, writes, "It is on record that Governor Fubara acted based on professional advice and guidance. Let it be clarified that the former governor and now FCT minister repeatedly criticized the dilapidated and leaking assembly complex. During the commissioning of the assembly quarters in August 2022, he challenged the lawmakers to take responsibility for the poor state of the edifice, rejecting requests to rebuild it to ensure a conducive legislative environment for the lawmakers. It must be noted that immediately after the incident of October 29, 2023 and experts' reports, the government decided to heed the age-old demands of the lawmakers to rebuild the facility and promptly demolish the dilapidated structure to give way to a state-of-the-art assembly complex, which is now nearly 80% completed." Honestly, this response right here is the reason why a lot of people believe that you are a misfit for the job of the governor of Rivers State. And what a load of garbage this is. Which expert advice? Honestly, this is dumb. I mean, can't you guys come up with something better? And assuming without conceding that what you have said here is even the truth, Why did the governor wait till he was about to be impeached before he then suddenly remembered that there was an expert opinion on the integrity of this building? Honestly, anyone capable of believing this bare-faced lie is capable of believing anything. And doesn't this kind of excuse speak to the quality of people and advisors the governors have around him? I mean, it's one thing for the governor to lack the political wisdom and smartness to navigate these murky waters of politics, but to not have the presence of mind to surround oneself with wise, thoughtful, and intelligent people, in spite of the huge resources available, is another thing altogether. Truth is, Governor Fubara panicked when it looked as though the lawmakers were going to impeach him. And of course, he listened to the advice of those who told him to do the most stupid thing imaginable. So, Mr. Governor, it's time for you to put on your big boy pants and take full responsibility instead of offering us this kind of lame excuses. Now to this next one.
Some militants had threatened fire and brimstone against their perceived enemies of the governor, who has up to now not disowned them. The latest security report made available to me show that between yesterday and today, there have been disturbing incidents of vandalization of pipelines by some militants without governor taking any action to curtail them.
And this was what the president was referring to.
Ijaw people, quick, Platata Solo said it. Ijaw people owns the land that these resources are there. And if Ijaw people are threatened, they have the right to defend themselves. We have the right to defend ourselves. We have the right to defend our interests. So whatever anybody says, that is the business of that person. The Ijaws will defend their right. They will defend their interests. The Ijaws must protect their life so that they will survive. Our forefathers handed this legacy to us, and we're going to hand over this same legacy to our own children. It is not Nyeso Wike who will tell the job people how we are going to behave, what we are going to do. It's not Nyeso Wike. He not qualify at all to tell us. So if pipeline pass in our place and somebody threatens us and take our livelihood from us, and we decide that this pipeline, we don't want it on our land, Nyeso Wike cannot stop it. Nobody can stop it. Nobody. We are saying it openly. I am saying it. Nobody can stop the job people from doing what we want to do. So even before we take decision, some job people can decide to act on their own. And that's the most dangerous. That's the most dangerous. That some job people, they know the fury of the job people and they want to test it.
In as much as I don't subscribe to violence, when the time comes for us to take a decision, I will lead the cause for that decision. I assure you, at the right time, you will get the instruction.
Mr. Governor, instructions to do exactly what? Now, it's possible I'm quoting out of context here, but you cannot have these two Ogbologbo politicians and not watch your public utterances. Turns out it's what they are now using against you. I mean, you cannot be the governor of a tension-soaked state like Rivers and not regulate your public utterances. Now, did you guys notice that someone in the crowd apparently nudged him on to say the word instructions?
I assure you, at the right time, you will get the instruction.
Was it something they had earlier discussed, or was just a spur of the moment concurrence? Whichever way it is, the governor by his comments seemed to have walked into the trap of his enemies, because shortly after that comment, this happened.
When I came in, I saw the fire, and the fire I immediately was able to know it came as a result of sabotage. The pipe was dug up, it was cut with a saw, and fire was put to it by a human being. Because it might shock you that this thing is in line with the threats to the governor on seat.
Of course, it was now a case of the witch cried the previous night and the child died the following morning. But Governor Fubara, the president's major accusation against you in this regard is that you took little to no action against behaviors like this, and not that you had something to do with it. So the premise of your statement is already faulty. And if you say the president was wrong, your statement, this statement, should have been inundated with evidence showing that the president was indeed wrong. Now, while it is undeniable that Minister Wike said a few inflammatory things against the Jaws in this interview, the truth of the matter is that most of the inflammatory statements made by your supporters were said long before that media chat. And to be fair, the dangerous rhetorics were coming from both sides. But whether you like to admit it or not, your die-hard supporters got enraged when the rumors started flying around again that you are going to be impeached. And since there were no assembly building for you guys to destroy this time around, your supporters opted to start doing things like this.
Necessitated the solidarity work by different sociocultural groups, including members of the Federal House of Representatives, in support of the Rivers State Governor. Vexed by the difficulty in governance that Governor Sim Fubara has been subjected to, following the attempts to use the instrumentality of the Assembly to remove him, President of the Ijaw National Congress, Professor Benjamin Okogba.
A slap on Similaye is a slap on the entire Ijaw nation. We want to tell Mr. President, call your minister to order. If things continue in this way, we can no longer guarantee the safety of the oil installations in Ijaw land. And if you are taking us for granted, continue.
If anything happens to River State, it will affect Nigerian economy. And it will not be comfortable for him as a president. We know his capacity. Let him call Wike to order.
Now, instead of you to address the allegations raised against you by the president, you went on talking about how you have financially supported the military and security agencies. And while that might be true, it is besides the point. And the point is, what did you do? What instructions did you give to the security agencies in the state in the light of the threats and vandalism the state witnessed in the last few weeks? A lot of finger pointing in this your response. But what you didn't do is to provide one incontrovertible evidence that you privately or publicly condemn statements like this.
If pipeline pass in our place and somebody threatens us and take our livelihood from us, and we decide that this pipeline, we don't want it on our land, Nyesom Wike cannot stop it. Nobody can stop it. Nobody. We are saying it openly. I am saying it. Nobody can stop the job people from doing what we want to do.
If things continue in this way, we can no longer guarantee the safety of the oil installations in Ijaw land. And if you are taking us for granted, continue.
If anything happens to River State, it will affect Nigerian economy.
So in the final analysis, the suspended governor supporters can shout blue murder to high heavens all they want. But if they cannot see how the governor himself may have used his own actions and inactions to provide his enemies with the ammunition to hang him, then they are of course the reason why Sim Fubara is where he is today.